Hi, everybody.
Hello.
We're back, and this time we're going to talk about the David Hawkins scale above 200.
Power.
Yes. And so, if you understand power, it's really the power that creates the universe, that really the power of the field, the power of gods. And unless we're tapping into this power, we're always going to try and control other people, manipulate force, having to fight and having to control things outside of us. Whereas if you step into your power, you actually notice that because you're aligned with who you really are, which is you are the divine being, and you can control matter, you can command matter because you are becoming your best self, and which is you are grasping the universal laws. So that is when you start to step into your real true power, where you don't have to control people, you don't have to blame people, you don't have to feel all of these negative emotions. So, you want to say something about courage, Ellen?
Courage. Yeah, that's sort of the where the power aspect starts. So that's 200, and that's even the word says it. That's where you're stepping into your power. So it's like the first step. Okay, I'm over this forcing. I'm stepping into my power. So I really like that that's the first one because it's stepping into the power. You're having the courage in order to move up the scale and actually taking responsibility for your life rather than being the victim.
And also, courage really says it all, right? Because, for instance, in the release technique that I was a student of for many years, many people they feel like the way that I would see it is they let all these lower emotions stop them, and actually, courage is a decision. So courage is something that you act upon even though you don't feel like it. So, you know that book, I think it's like, feel the fear and do it anyway. I think it's that is courage. Is courage is understanding your true essence doesn't wait for you to be over these emotions. You actually need to bypass the timing it takes to feel courageous. You need to make a decision that you are now going to commit to rewiring yourself to be courageous, to be an infinite being, to be a divine being, and that you're no longer letting the program or the mass consciousness or the conditioning determine the outcome of your life and determine your identity. And that's why courage is a big, bold step into what we call the new you, into the really who you are. But it's really just a decision, and at that moment you take responsibility. You catch yourself blaming people, you catch yourself feeling like a victim, you catch yourself wanting to sabotage things. That's when you become really, really awake. It's the first step to awakening. And unless you go there, and even when you go there, you still catch yourself going back to victimhood. It might take some time. It might take you 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes like 2 months. But still, when you do it every day, like you do it with us in the appreciation game, it's going to have a massive, massive, you're going to really see how much fun it is to do it with a group.
And I liked it that it's after pride because that's the sort of the line. So pride is like the highest one, and the power aspect, the force aspect where we were just at in the previous video, and now we're encouraged. So pride are still sort of hiding behind this sort of protection shield of oh, I'm better than anyone. Oh, I'm so good at this.
They need to
but
change.
Courage are like, no, I see this now, what I'm doing in pride, and I'm now I have the courage, and I'm taking the first step towards this higher consciousness. So I really like that they're both the dividing line. Yeah.
So courage is a decision, and you can make that decision even when you're feeling horrible. And I think this is what Dr. Joe calls victory. Victory is catching yourself in the program, going back unconscious, going into the trance of I'm not worthy, other people are doing this to me, to actually waking up and saying, no, wait a minute, no, I'm creating this. I can still determine the outcome of a win-win situation, and I'm not going to go back there to this old program that's been running all my life. And definitely neutrality is the one after courage, and what we need to master is trust. And I can tell you from my own life, I was always encouraged for many, many years because I always took responsibility. I would dip in and out of victimhood, especially in certain areas of my life, like when I was working with clients or when I was working with in relationships, whether it was friendships or was like love relationships. But then when you actually go to neutrality, you understand that you need to master trust. And trust is a big, big issue. And this is where we need to really understand that no matter what happens, we can trust that whatever happens is happening for us. And those of you who are doing the work, and Ellen and I really, we know that, actually the most difficult times, they actually brought us the biggest blessings, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure. And for me, when I go over the consciousness scale, when I'm doing my set point logging before and after, when I'm like, I don't really know what I'm feeling, I'm always in neutrality, because I'm just like, I don't really know where I'm at. So that's like a familiar one for me. But yeah, it's still, you're still satisfied. You're still, you're okay. You're not peaceful, because that's way higher. We'll get to that one later. But you're like, okay, yeah. Pretty good.
For me, though, neutrality is if I'm not trusting, then I haven't gone into 250, and I'm willing to do something about it, and I'm definitely encouraged. But trusting, because for us, we are human beings living in scarcity. A lot of the times, we don't trust that without a certain outcome or a certain thing to happen, we're going to be lost, and then for sure you're not in 250. So then but if you're taking responsibility, you're catching yourself, you're not going into victim mode, for sure you're still in 200. But if you're definitely feeling your body reacting in fear or in desire, like you're really like determined to have an outcome, or you feel a lot of guilt and shame, just be honest about what you're feeling in your body, because it will, and all the voices in your head, because you will be able to calibrate that. The more you do the appreciation work, the more you catch yourself, the more days you spend in becoming the new you that appreciates and that is trusting, the more you're going to build those new neural networks, and you're going to see yourself changing.
The next one is willingness, 310. So willingness for me, when I'm in the guidance scale, it's like I feel like this sort of eagerness, but I'm not feeling like completely as high as the other ones. So yeah, very optimistic and hopeful and just eager for this day. But yeah, not as high as the other ones that are coming after this.
So willingness is equated with the feeling of hope and optimism. And I think that can only come, I think it's even in one of the books of David Hawkins, is when you are actually accepting resistance. So when you're in willingness, you're even willing to face your own resistance, to face your own demons, and to actually, you're appreciating it. You're not beating yourself up anymore, because you've done now the work. You've done enough work to trust that no matter what happens, it's going to work out for you. And you've seen it, you've seen the evidence of it working out in your life, like the biggest, things that you might have had to resolve in terms of coming to peace with it. You actually can see how many virtues you gained, how many things you transformed from within, where you look back and you think, oh my God, if that hadn't happened, I would not have cultivated, for instance, this amazing personality trait that really identifies who I am as a beautiful divine being. Willingness is really about being optimistic no matter what happens. And again, this is an amazing trait to have. Like, have you ever seen a winner complain or lament the so-called bad things? No, winners are always talking about how this thing had to happen, because otherwise they would have still been the old self. And if we can go there, in the moments of despair, in the moments of challenge, in the moments of conflict, and we understand that, we are going to use this, we are going to decide right now that we're going to face this like we did in the past, then, you are in willingness. So take that power back, own it, because then you can really allow yourselves to experience the beautiful synchronicities that can unfold, because you are always commanding the outcome no matter what happens. So, and very often this willingness, as in every level of the consciousness scale, is not about what's going on in the outer world. Yeah. I think the more you grow into your power, the more you don't let the conditions or the outcome determine how you feel. Right, Ellen?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about you having... Yeah, it's not about waiting until this and this happens and you think, oh yeah, see, I'm doing it well. No, it's coming from the inside. You're embodying it in the inside, and that's how the world has to give it to you.
And when you see things you don't like in the outer world, then you can see where you're at in the guidance scale as well, because it's just a reflection of where you're at.
Yeah. As above, so below, right? As above, actually it's really about your inner world creating the resistance, creating the lack of belief, the not having. And so we take that absolute responsibility. Acceptance, acceptance is forgiveness. Oh my gosh, that's a difficult one for me. That was so difficult. And I think, and you do not forgive, it's because you have a lot of pride. And pride has a lot to do with, I think, a lot of moral judgment of things that you do not want to accept in your life. And I want to really come from humility when I say, if you're hanging on to not forgiving, you're probably going to manifest resisting it. And so do yourself a favor and be so loving to yourself that you're going to do the forgiveness work. And this is not mental. It's not like saying, yeah, I've forgiven these people. You have to really feel it. You have to do the type of work that, Ellen and I have been doing. You can't really force
it. You have to keep feeling it. Bring in the feelings of love towards the situation that happened, the contrast, appreciate it all.
What we were just discussing, shadow work. Shadow work, forgiveness. Somebody did something horrible to you. They cheated on you. They betrayed you. They stole your money. I don't know what it is. What in us did we not want to own? What in us did we disown that made it come into our lives? And this is not about guilt or blaming, but actually, because we are manifesting so many things from the fields of consciousness that we are born into. So sometimes you are creating things from the family line, yeah? So you didn't create it deliberately, but because you were born in that family, you're going to be like, you're going to create certain things because that was the unfinished business in the family field. But what you can do is take your absolute responsibility to change it, yeah? So you're not always to blame. Just like in Ho'oponopono, we don't believe in guilt in the terms of the biblical sense that you are guilty and you're a sinner. No, we are born in collective fields of information, and we as souls chose to correct it because we could. And whenever you have to forgive something, it is because your soul knows how to do it. So, and when you do the shadow work, oh my God, we have so much compassion, right, for the people that we once demonized. And that is your freedom. The more that you have these black and white type of judgments about people, circumstances, and events, the more you're judging yourself. And imagine you have all these rigid thoughts about who you are and who you're not. What are you resisting? And what you resist persists. So this is really a big lesson. And it's so important that we get this right, because the people that are in acceptance, according to David Hawkins, once you go into forgiveness, you are going to fly. So David Hawkins, when he did the testing, the most successful people in life are at the level of acceptance. Because you know why? In his book, Letting Go, when I was studying it, he says, people at the level of acceptance, they do not believe that anything can be given to them or be taken away from them. So even if they are, let's say, victimized, or people try to cheat from them, or people try to make them wrong, they are okay with it because their level of self-love and self-honoring is so profound that they don't believe that anybody out there doing anything to them can take away their dignity. Can you imagine what a gift that would be to live like that? But before we go there, we have to do quite a lot of emotional processing. We absolutely understand the conditioning in our body. Our nervous system is still running a program of like, oh my God, this person said that to me. I'm so triggered. It will take some time before we ever are not going to be triggered. So give yourself compassion, but it is a journey. But once you're playing the appreciation game and you're in a community of people who are all doing it, we are learning from each other, and we just know, you know what, I'm doing my work for this person and they're doing the work for me. And we're in the same morphogenetic field, and you're all going to benefit from each other doing the work. Reason.
The next one is reason 400. So it's understanding and being meaningful. Yeah, I don't know much about that one at all.
No, actually,
I use it when I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I don't know. That one for me is always very vague.
So reason, I think, is like really for people. I think I date a lot of men who are on reason. A lot of very logical men. They're very much they really have pride in them. They really they are confident. They know that when they set a goal, they can achieve it. So they're very logical. So they're not really like overwhelmed by these emotions down under. If you think of some men, maybe your dad, maybe some of the men that you, maybe your brothers, I don't know, or maybe some of the men that you've worked with, and sometimes even these alpha female women, they can be on the level of reason, which is that they're just driven by logic. And that is and that is when people can thrive in science. They can thrive in really corporations, and these people do not let toxic emotions run their lives. And I think that's a very beautiful way to live, but it's not as beautiful or as powerful as love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that reason that I didn't realize that explanation for reason, but I wouldn't have thought that would be up so high, to be honest. So love, yeah, that's the most delicious feeling. I think it's at 500. So it's like yeah, being in love with life, seeing everything as like a loving being, and everyone's sort of equal, and you approach things from this warm place. It just feels really good. And everyone seems really nice and feels very good.
I think that it's most important to understand that we're talking about unconditional love. So it's almost a type of love that maybe a parent has towards a child. Like no matter what the child does, they see the best in the child. And in brain research, they can even see that parents like have this in love part of their brain always switched on for children because of I think because of the way that we had to evolve. Um, so um, so when we're in unconditional love, we always see the best in people. So even if they're acting ugly or they're acting really nasty, we still want to understand them. So you might have experienced this in ways when somebody was really saying horrible things, but all you felt was the real intention behind it, which is maybe their call for love or their quest to be loved, even though they were maybe pushing you away or they were like saying horrible things to you. Really understand that it's not about you, right? And when we're acting out these programs of hurting people or trying to push people away or trying to like blame other people, we're not in the best place. So I think unconditional love is really about us seeing the best despite what is presented to us. Yeah. And I think this is a beautiful way to live, because actually when we start living like that, we don't have to live in a world where we're so like looking at the world and thinking, oh my gosh, I need to kill myself because where are we going? We're just seeing the world in different levels of consciousness. Everybody is playing this game of life. And unconditional love, I have to say, once you really get in touch with it, you can see that you're going to manifest more and more and more, because law magnetizes things to you. So when you're in the frequency of love, you're going to find that things are much easier because you love yourself, you love other people no matter what they do, and you're going to magnetize things to you because love is so magnetic. Yeah, reason is not magnetic. Reason, people who are in reason, they still have to do a lot of work to actually make things happen for them. But because they're so rational, people trust them because they're not hovering in the lower emotions. But when you're in love, magical things happen. Magical things happen because that frequency is so powerful that people really are drawn to it.
And then we have joy, 540. Yeah, 540. We in the beginning, Angelique and I both were like, joy is higher than love. Oh my gosh, joy is higher than love. So yeah, having fun and feeling playful and joyful and exhilarated and just excited for everything that's going on in life, and just having this like curiosity for what else is going to happen in life. It's like seeing the world as a child, to be honest. It's very natural to us because that's how we were in the beginning of our lives. And there are always ways and areas in our lives where we feel this really strongly. And when you use this feeling of joy, when you activate it by doing something that makes you feel joyful, but then use it in the areas like that you want to grow in, then you get so much results, so many amazing outcomes, because it's just such a high vibration, and you just things come to you, and you look at things in a different way. It's like you're more creative too. Everything is so fun and playful and childlike, and it's just like this. Everything just sort of flows, and everything is so fun and light and bubbly. It's yeah, it's my favorite feeling to be joyful, and I use it to my benefit in most areas of my life.
So I would say, just thinking and listening to Ellen, from the level of love and above, from love and joy onwards, you will notice that you're not so much stuck in the mind. You will notice that you're in the present moment and you're just being super intuitive. You just know things, you just have impulses, downloads, and you act on them and you trust them because something in you just feels pulled. Whenever I have amazing manifestations, it's always because I'm in 500 and above. And
You can keep talking.
I always trust what we call highest excitement because that is really the indicator of joy. So when I get downloads, I always act upon them now. And this is something we teach our players. It's like, don't try to overanalyze, why you got a download. Just when it feels exciting, you are not attached to the outcome. You don't even know where it's going to lead to. Trust it because it's the feel telling you that there's something waiting for you that is going to help you really experience a manifestation that is right for you. And so this is very important that we do not mistake this level of joy with addiction, because there will be addictions that you think give you joy, but that is about escape. Joy is very much about unattachment to outcome. So we've had players in our game that really suddenly started setting up companies with friends and they didn't know what they were doing. That's just me and Ellen. Like Ellen and I were the same, and in my love life, I was the same. Like, I didn't know anything about the man that I was dating, and I immediately just felt this amazing attraction to him, and he had the same. So I think when you are in those levels of excitement, you just recognize each other. So you don't, I wouldn't worry too much about it because joy is so high. You recognize each other on a frequency level or a consciousness level.
And I feel like joy is also very body centered. A lot of the things that we bring us joy are a lot of things that we do, like moving our body. So it's like a whole full spectrum of ourselves are incorporated in joy, I feel like.
A lot of the time when I get downloads for when I'm in love or in joy, I definitely feel pulled to do something, like to move my body somewhere. Like I will get manifestations going into a shop or literally, having to go into another direction, following an impulse, like a voice telling me you have to go left right now. And I'm like, why? My logical mind's like, why? But my body is feeling the excitement. So, you're going to have these moments where you're going to think your logical mind is going to try and bypass your joy. But don't trust your logical mind. Trust your joy. Like really, it will help you so much. And we're seeing the players in our game, like they start to actually once they understand this teaching, they'll say, you know what? I've had so many downloads and I was always very intuitive, but I never listened to it because I let my analytical mind be in the way. Right now, if I have a download and it feels exciting, I immediately take action, meaning I immediately send that WhatsApp. I immediately plan that event. Like sometimes I would get a download, do this tomorrow. And I'm like, what? How many people will I get for this event if I plan it today? And you know what? Doesn't matter. 20 people of the right people will show up. It's really about trusting the process when you're in joy because you're doing it because of the joy. Yeah? So when the outcome is, I just want to follow the impulse of joy, you're going to have amazing manifestations, really, even for business, because we've seen it with a lot of our business players as well. They started taking action out of joy rather than apathy and anger or fear or frustration, and they really got amazing results because once you're on that high frequency, people want to work with you. People want to date you. People want to be in your life. That's what they want. We don't need people who are more wise or whatever. We need people who have become awake, who have become alive, who are feeling the life force running through their lives. So you will attract the ideal people to you.
Peace, 600. So just feeling so content and like everything is perfect as it is right now in this moment. That's really how peace feels.
And this is the thing, we look into the world and there's a lot of things that we can judge with our analytical mind. But in this game that we're playing, we're really seeing that there is a bigger agenda, right? There is a bigger evolutionary divine plan going on. And we can judge whatever is going on, or we can see everything is perfect according to the divine plan. Even your life, even the challenges that we're having right now, the lessons and the transformations that we need to go through, they are absolutely perfect. And if you know that we can work with this peace, knowing that there is a bigger plan than what our ego mind is telling us or judging, then you can literally really turn around, things. And you can, because you're living in that frequency of peace, you will be able to go, to not do anything than be you. And you will be affecting masses of people, because according to David Hawkins, people and the frequency of love, the higher they go, the more we're affecting people, because we are so connected to each other. So you might be seeing around you, as you go from love and above, you will see that you're doing the work, but suddenly your children are different, your husband is different, your bosses are different, your clients are different. We have some of our players that during coronavirus and lockdown, they couldn't even leave the house. They had their records month in their business. We have people that are really like manifesting so many clients and opportunities to them, and they're taking action upon them. So, all this mass consciousness around, oh, the economy will be this or that, or this and that is happening, blah, blah, blah. It's just really, it depends on the level of consciousness that you're in. The higher you go into consciousness, the quicker you will manifest beneficial outcomes, not just for yourselves, but for other people as well. So really, you're doing the work for a lot of people, so know that and use that as leverage. Enlightenment.
700 to 1,000.
I'm not sure I'm there yet. For sure I'm not there. But enlightenment is I think what they say is you just like have this, you are really living the oneness paradigm, which is you see yourself as one with everything. So you do not separate yourself from other people. And you do not, you just see the perfection of life and of death, rebirth, trauma, and you just basically, you just see beyond the veil of illusion. And I really don't know what that is, because I'm not there yet. So I'm not sure I can talk about it, but I think some of the masters in the world, we really would have to study these people to understand where they were. They just emanate this peacefulness, this love, this unconditional love towards humanity, and I myself, I still judge a lot of human experience. I still sometimes think, why did I come here again? So, and this is really when we live in duality. But there are times in my life when I, for instance, when meditation or something, I can enter that state. But the real trick is to enter that state when you are, what is it? Switching off the judgment, the analytical mind that is always judging. And where we are, where we believing in the illusion of time, in the illusion of separation. And I think this is really, so I wouldn't be able to say what this is, because I haven't lived it yet, not sure. But I think, I'm sure that, I'll get there. I'm not sure what is this life. Do you know anybody that lives there in enlightenment, Ellen?
Not personally.
Oh.
No, definitely not. No.
Yes. Well, we hope that you understand a little bit more about the David Hawkins scale. It was a pleasure to explain it to you.
Bye.